down in Studio B, where live sessions are made possible by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. John Cowan is in the room. Hey, John.
Hi, Roland.
How's it going?
It's excellent. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. I think first thing we're supposed to say, happy birthday.
Well, thank you. It's Saturday will actually be the momentous occasion.
What time? Do you have a...
What time?
Yeah.
I'd guess about 12:01 on Friday evening.
That's when it
Saturday
hits.
morning.
Will you become wiser at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
I'll also de-evolve. I think that I'll de-evolve at the same time. So
De-evolve?
yeah. So whatever that means.
Yeah, that sounds impressive. Will
I
you be
saw it
playing
on a
when you...
Devo record once, and I thought it was really. Never mind.
If you were on stage when you de-evolved, no telling, huh?
I could tune my D string down.
Yeah.
There you go.
Where you lose your prehensile tail and one of your thumbs.
Yeah,
That's good, Jeff.
Like everything, there's good and bad there, right?
Yeah.
You know. Oh, here we go.
Perfect.
Really, there's nowhere to go. Should we stop now? Is that the high point of the...
Gig's off.
John and his very serious band are here in Studio V today, and advance of a show. It's tomorrow night, right? At the Neighborhood Theater. I'm sorry. down in
Tomorrow
Charlotte.
night, the Neighborhood Theater in wonderful Charlotte, North Carolina, as we say.
All right, but it is interesting because you're calling this the 60th anniversary tour.
Yeah. It's as if I played music for 60 years, but close. You know, I started, I joined New Grass Revival when I just barely turned 22. And I started playing professionally when I was 18, so it's not far off.
Is that neat? You look back and go, your whole life you've been a musician.
It makes me feel really blessed and fortunate,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I think our listeners agree. So,
Well, I was having this discussion with somebody yesterday, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I was 13. And that's all I ever pursued. I had one real job in all that time. For 1 year, I worked at a boat trailer factory, and I hated it. So
Did you want to be a singer or a bass player? I mean, or was
both.
it all this?
It's
both?
just I just started them both at the same time, and it was just really, it was one of those deals. We formed a band in our little neighborhood with a bunch of people, and bass was the instrument that was not taken. And I played bass on a little electric guitar with a quarter for a pick for a good while. But I mean, I love the Beatles, so it was like, oh, I get to be Paul McCartney? Okay.
And then you could sing the parts too. That was the added bonus.
That was just a happy coincidence that I could actually sing on top of it. So
awesome. Yeah, I know you write some, but you like to do other people's songs a lot.
I always have, because some of this, because I'm a singer first, and kind of in the old school way that in the 40s and 50s and the 30s as well, singers they always looked for great songs and great arrangers. People like, if you go back to even Bing Crosby and then on to Frank Sinatra and then on to Tony Bennett. But even in our generation, people like Bonnie Raitt and Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris were great song finders. They had a great ear for songs and for arrangements, and I think that's one of the qualities of a great singer, honestly, is the ability to find things. In the old days, in the old school, I think that was more the producers, the heavy-handed producers and the arrangers probably brought the songs to artists. And as our generation came on, it became a little bit more of a do-it-yourself process.
It's not till like the 60s where like the singer-songwriter comes to prominence. Before
sure,
that, you were a singer and you were given arrangements.
And then there just happened to be people like Joni Mitchell that were also happened to be amazing singers on top of the fact that they were uncanny songwriters, And now today we still have that with people like Tim O'Brien and Daryl Scott, and there's lots of young artists that I just so admire greatly, Anyways.
Do you ever find a song and go, that's it, that's the one, and you work it and it just...
Doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, and that kind of is, that can be about my ability to deliver it as a song. It can be about, maybe it's not the right arrangement. The thing that's been not only a challenge for me, but one of the most rewarding things is because I have found myself in an environment of acoustic instruments with fiddle, banjo, mandolin, percussion, drums, and electric bass. I always have played electric bass. It kind of gives you a unique way to present music. And I've always, from the moment I joined Newgrass Revival, we always took great songs by people, and we really didn't care if it made sense on paper. If it worked musically, then that was the only measuring stick for it, you know.
Do you do the arrangements yourself, or do you toss them out to the guys in the band and say?
You know, it's kind of a communal process, I think, you know. Actually, it is very much a communal. I'll usually come with a song and be able to play it myself, and we'll to work it up. And that's usually how it goes. And then, you know, as you goof around with it and play it repetitively speaking, it starts to take on a life of its own. That's what's nice about it.
Yeah. So this is a John Cowan Band live in Studio B tomorrow night, the show at the Neighborhood Theater in Charlotte. And then, are you in the area again? You're kind of slipping.
We're
around.
in Greensboro on Friday, and then on Saturday evening, we're going to be playing at one of our favorite places in the world, which is the Down Home Pickin' Parlor in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Okay, yeah.
Which is where I met this gentleman behind you, Steve Metcalf.
That's the Little King.
The legendary Steve Metcalf.
There he looks good today, doesn't he?
He always looks good.
Yeah,
I just
man.
want to kiss him.
When did you meet him? That was
76, is that right, Steve?
1976.
Actually, we were in Johnson City, but it was not, and this is a pretty good story, actually. We were outside. We had just played a theater in Johnson City. I don't know the name of that theater there. Dennis might know, but anyways. We had just opened a show for John Hartford. And what I remember that day is that Newgrass Revival had just made a record, and we had just recorded one of John's songs called Vamp in the Middle. And we drug him out to our station wagon or our van or whatever it was that we had. And, of course, we imbibed some green substances that you could smoke. And we were so excited to play this song for him that he'd written, and we'd recorded this Newgrass Revival. And I think he cried. You know, I don't remember, but it was a very touching moment.
These were tears of joy.
Hopefully. Yeah. I think maybe I made that part up, but I know that I remember sitting there playing that for him sitting outside of this theater, and the same day we met Steve and Donna Metcalf, and they said, well, we got this place called Green Acres, and we were like, what the heck is that? You know, what's a Green Acres? I mean, we knew what the TV show was, but, you know. And then we... So that began a long relationship with Western North Carolina and Newgrass Revival.
You know, there are people listening right now who saw you play over the years at Green Acres,
sure.
guaranteed. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I've played there in so many configurations, but most people would remember, you know, we played there from 76. Is that right, Steve? What year did the Acres open? Is 77? I don't know, but I played there till the last, when did you close your doors? We know what that year was. You don't know that either? Anyways, more shows than my brain cells can account for, okay? How about that?
I brought this shirt today, man.
Oh, yeah, he's got the old Green Acres Music Hall.
How about
shirt
that,
on.
man? That's very tasteful.
I thought I may see Mr. Metcalf.
Can I introduce
I was going to
these
ask you,
guys?
introduce your band, please.
Over here on the drums, originally from the state of Connecticut, now making his home in Nash Vegas, Tennessee. One of my favorite people in the world and one of my favorite drummers in the world, Mr. Ed Toth.
All right, Ed. And you stole Ed or borrowing Ed from another band that you're tied in with, right?
Yeah, we both are part of the Doobie Brothers.
All right.
And before that, Ed was in one of my favorite modern bands of all time called Vertical Horizon. And then over here on the fiddle, and he's probably going to pick up the old banjo here in a moment. He hails from Dairyland, Wisconsin, and he's another one of my favorite people and musicians on the face of the earth, Mr. Shad Cobb.
All right. And Chad brought his dog.
Shad brought our fearless mascot, Maggie. In fact, the last time we went out, for my real job, I play in the Doobie Brothers. We don't get to do John Cowan Band very often. I think March was the last time. And the last time we went out, we didn't bring Maggie along with us. And you would have thought that we didn't bring one of the band members along. Every place would go, "Where's Maggie?" It's like, God. Okay, here she is. Over here on guitar from fabulous Buford, Georgia, now residing in Jefferson, Georgia. Just one of the greatest people you'd ever hope to hang out with. He's been a consistent blessing in my life, Mr. Jeff Autry.
All right. How long have you been playing with John, Jeff? You've been with him forever.
Spring of '99.
Yeah.
So what? 13 years.
Have you been able to teach him anything?
Oh, you can't teach that boy nothing.
That's what I heard.
I think we've taught each other a lot of stuff. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah. You guys play so well together.
Always musical.
That's great. John Cowan Band's playing live in Studio B. And it's the 60th anniversary tour. The next.
Yeah, it's actually the 60th birthday. There's not really an anniversary.
Well, I'm just reading what I saw written down on
that's fine.
On the website.
I'm about to turn 60 on the 24th, which is this Saturday.
You could play it off that you're 80, and people would think you look really good. So,
Yeah, they'll never say that.
yeah.
Birthday.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Oh my God!
The
What have you
riffraff
got
is in
here?
the riffraff.
What is this? It's a cake, folks.
I wouldn't eat it.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, John Sonny. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. That's very beautiful. Looky there.
We should do play-by-play. John is holding a cake.
Read the cake, John. What does it say there? Describe the cake. It's a pretty nice one.
It's a beautiful cake. It's actually, it's kind of the colors of my bass here. It's got white and red and black. It has an electric guitar on the top of it. It's pretty much awesome, basically.
Right.
I'm thinking about sticking my face in it, but we have to play a little bit more.
Now, we're going to take a break while you eat that cake. We'll just hang out and... Oh, Lord.
Oh, Maggie will eat it. What am I thinking? Oh, my God.
Maggie wouldn't eat off of this floor.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So, John, over 40 years as a professional musician, you're still out doing it. You got this great band. Yeah, do you find yourself looking more forward or backward, kind of?
You know, it's a curious. I think it's probably appropriate and normal, whatever that is, for this age. But I do find myself thinking, I don't know if that's just mere mortality creeping in, but I do have more thoughts as, I don't know if I could say the last year, but I do think about stuff in the past a lot. I mean, I don't live in it, but I think that's probably a pretty natural thing to happen.
Yeah, and there's so much there musically. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I've done so many things with so many wonderful people. I'm just like the luckiest guy on the earth.
if I were to ask you right now, just pluck one, that is an unfair question, but one thing that you remember, like whenever, over the years touring.
Well, I don't know if people here know this, if you guys are aware of this. I have this radio show in Nashville and on WSM, and it's called I Believe to My Soul, and I interview artists just like you're doing, though it's an hour-long conversation, and I go back after I've recorded the conversational content, and then I insert music that is appropriate to the conversation. And why I'm bringing this up is I just did a 2-part series with Sam Bush. So that aired. It airs once a month on the radio, but I just spent all day Tuesday mixing and editing this show. So to do a 1-hour show, it takes about 7 hours to prepare for it. But what was really tricky about interviewing Sam was not interjecting myself all over it, because we'd been in a band together for 16 years. I had to it was kind of a challenge, to be perfectly honest. But, thinking about my relationship with him and Bela and Curtis Birch and Courtney Johnson and Pat Flynn and then these guys that I've played music with for so long, I've just had a wonderful musical life, no doubt. It's hard to think of one moment,
Right.
And some people have, photographic type memories. I don't. Sam is really unusual in that way. He can remember stuff that I have no idea how he remembers.
He's making it up.
He probably is, and because I don't remember, I can't say it's not true.
Yeah, see, he's got his trick with you there. One thing I've noticed, because I've interviewed you before, and you always talk about like the people, not the music or the songs. You know, it's always like the people in the band, the relationships with the people.
Well, I think the music it's a given. So I mean, we all, have the ability to produce these sounds and make these noises, but it's the relationship that I have with the people that, and depending on how that goes, it can make, your relationship with human beings can make music a non-productive event. If the wrong people are gathered at the same time, that can be pretty horrific. So, it's good to get along.
I wanted to mention your radio show. You podcast that, right?
It's not podcast. It's actually it is broadcast once a month, the first Thursday of every month on WSM AM 650 in Nashville. But it runs at the same time.
You can stream it on your website.
It runs on their website, which is WSMonline.com. But all the shows are archived on my website. Okay. You can't download them, but you can sit there and listen to them and stream them, and that's www.johncowan.com. You
guys were on the Grand Ole Opry last night.
We were.
That was fun. Is that a pressure? Do you go in there like, oh my God, it's a Grand Ole Opry?
It is. I don't know what it's like for people that've done it for years and years. I mean, we've done it 15 times over the last 10 years. I don't know. Not enough, and maybe for some people it's never not nerve-wracking, but for me it always is. It's there's so much history there.
Yeah.
It's crazy good history, and there's a lot of juju in that room. Even the new room, the new building, which has been, we've done both. We've played at the Ryman on the Opry, and that's really spooky, because there you have the ghost of the Carter family and Hank Williams Sr. and the list goes on and on. Roy Acuff and Bill Monroe and Flatt Scruggs and Loretta Lynn, who I interviewed on my show this year. That was an amazing conversation. Ernest Tubb. And then the new Opry House, which they moved to from the Ryman in the early 70s. So it's got its own history, too. So there.
All right. So it's the John Cowan Band, Jeff Hawtrey on guitar and vocals. We also have Shad Cobb on fiddles and vocals. Ed Toth is on drums today. On the high vocal parts, Maggie the Beagle Dog. And John Cowan leading the whole assemblage.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're always so happy to come by here. You guys have been such great